Well, guys, thanks so much for coming out and sharing your film with us. It's got to be, very personal, of course, for you. And your brother, whose idea was it to do this first? Did you guys just talk about it together?
I think it came about with inheriting like over 10,000 hours worth of audio tape and manuscripts, and it seemed to be all such a waste if somebody didn't do something with it. Yet my father was very protective, as he always called it, his intellectual property. So it certainly made it a family venture to do something with it all.
Yeah. And going through all of this stuff, I'm sure you learned more about your father.
A little more insight into certain aspects of his life, and listening to some of the audio tapes, I got that idea of how his early childhood sort of affected who he was later on in life, and his ability to sort of stand up for the underdog, or why he took such a strong stance on certain things. I guess my grandmother, they used to call Hitler, so she said, to him, son, don't cause any trouble, but don't run away from any trouble, and if somebody bothers you, rip their head off. So I kind of think that's the way he lived his whole entire life.
Yeah. What was the hardest thing about making this film, either in Savannah?
Probably for me, just wading through the massive amount of material. There's probably 30 interviews in an hour apiece, countless photographs, newspaper articles, anecdotes,
Footage, NFL footage, CFL footage.
When did you start the process to make the film? How long ago?
Last year, it's basically been maybe 13 months from beginning to end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how do you guys know each other?
We met 2 years ago at a Player Network event at the Super Bowl in Indianapolis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice place
What
to
a
meet.
it's a small world sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
really. Yeah, really. Well, let's open it up now. See any questions for the folks here? I'm sure you guys seen the film. There's a lot of great information on there. Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
He was clearly one hell of a personality. Is there any memories that you have personally that just you can't help but crack up and think about?
There was one I found out, Ed Rakowski that played with him for the Bills, said that I think they were out here in San Diego or something, and he was jumping off the diving board. And just before he did it, he started saying, look at me, look at me. So he says he jumps off the diving board, and then he says, there's just all this water sort of flailing around. And Booker, who was in the documentary, said, he's flailing around because he can't swim.
Seriously?
Yeah. So I think that was one of those things that even though he couldn't swim, he wanted to jump off a diving board and almost drown. So.
Anybody else? Got Martin back there.
I was just kind of wondering, how long was your first assembly cut? How many cuts did it take you to get to this point, and how has it maybe changed the post-production process?
I think the first assembly cut was almost 2.5 to 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
45 hours, 44 hours of interviews to go through.
And it was just a weeding out process, paring down, shaving here, adding there, excluding this story, embellishing that story. It was quite a process.
An evolutionary process,
Yes.
kind of thing. I kind of think it's still not quite done yet. We could probably shave off another 5 minutes, maybe.
I had a question. Are you guys doing anything, primarily your family, I guess, actively to get him in any of these Hall of Fames?
Well, it's one of those things. I think this was more just a legacy moment. Really being inducted into the Hall of Fame would just probably be, I guess, more for my kids than anything else because they never really got a chance to know him. I guess it's one of those things. I don't know whether he would be happy to be in a Hall of Fame or not. I know with the Bills Wall of Fame, Hall of Fame sort of fiasco, that was just probably one of those things that he still felt that went wrong. And, the CFL Hall of Fame too. So I guess it's one of those things that you look at it and say, can you rectify a wrong, or is it just something that somebody doesn't get forgotten by history or erased out of people's minds? I know part of that reason was that early on he gave the NFL a cease and desist to use his name or his likeness and certain things, so that's part of the reason why he's not that well known. But certainly, I guess, to a younger generation, it's kind of hard to reinvent somebody that played football over 50 years ago and make it a current issue.
You know, I mean, averaging 5 yards of rush a carry, that's unbelievable.
Jim Brown,
Yeah, yeah.
It really was.
Well, yeah, and he and Jim Brown were friends, and I think he used to just tell Jim that he said, nobody would ever heard of you if I stayed with the Cleveland Browns.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. Really appreciate it.